In 1817, in the quiet region of Tennessee, the Bell family never imagined that their farm would become the scene of one of the most frightening cases in American history. It all started in a subtle, almost innocent way, with strange noises during the night. What looked like wind soon turned into beats, invisible steps, and a constant feeling that something was watching every movement inside the house. John Bell was a respected religious man known in the community, so when he reported seeing a strange creature prowling around his property, few took it seriously. The animal seemed to change shape and disappeared before his eyes. After this meeting, inexplicable phenomena intensified. The farm, once peaceful, plunged into a climate of tension and absolute fear. At night, blankets were torn off, objects flew and blows echoed through the walls. No rational explanation seemed sufficient. The most terrifying was that the attacks always took place in the presence of the family. Visitors witnessed everything, fleeing in panic. The house became a prison where terror did not sleep and silence never meant security. As time passed, the entity began to speak. His female voice came out of nowhere, reciting Bible verses and, soon after, mocking them. The intelligence behind it was even more frightening. It was not a confused spirit. He seemed conscious, sarcastic, and cruel. She knew intimate secrets of the family and enjoyed exposing every human weakness. Elizabeth Bell, daughter of John, became the main target. The young woman suffered invisible aggressions, being pulled by her hair and thrown against walls. The attacks happened in front of witnesses. The entity claimed to hate her deeply. Doctors were called, but found nothing. Each night brought new injuries and a trauma that would mark his life forever. The entity identified itself as Kate Batts, a neighbor who had been tricked by John Bell in a land deal. Driven by revenge, he promised to destroy his family slowly. The story divided opinions, but the hatred in the voice was real. For many, that witch did not seek justice, but pleasure in causing continuous suffering and despair. Interestingly, the witch did not attack everyone in the same way. Small children were spared, while adults suffered physical and psychological torment. At times, the entity helped with household chores only to prove its control. This duality confused even more the residents, who never knew if the next demonstration would be violent or just cruelly ironic. The case spread quickly. People from other cities traveled only to hear the witch's voice. Some laughed until witnessing something impossible. Written testimonies of the time describe long and intelligent dialogues. It was not collective delirium. Something was talking there, something that challenged scientific and religious explanations, leaving everyone without concrete answers. At one point, the entity declared that it would kill John Bell. Shortly thereafter, he fell mysteriously ill. His health deteriorated without apparent cause. Paralysis and severe pain left him weakened. An unknown bottle appeared in his home. After ingesting the contents, John died. The witch celebrated his death, claiming to have fulfilled her promise. John Bell's death shocked the community. Many believed that terror would finally end. They were wrong. The entity remained, stating that it still had unfinished business. The farm looked cursed. Animals fell ill, crops failed, and the feeling of oppression increased. Fear had no face, only constant presence and suffocating. Reports state that the witch possessed supernatural knowledge. She repeated conversations that took place far away, described future events, and answered questions before they were even asked. This ability increased panic. It was not just a haunting. It was something that seemed to observe everything, always one step ahead, manipulating people as pieces in a cruel game. The case caught the attention of General Andrew Jackson, future President of the United States. Skeptical, he decided to visit the farm. According to reports, his carriage stalled without explanation as it approached the site. Invisible sounds attacked his entourage. Jackson would have stated that he would rather face war again than that entity. His visit reinforced the veracity of the story. After years of torment, the witch announced that she would leave, but promised to return after 7 years. The silence that followed did not bring relief. The family was waiting for the return. Each noise rekindled the trauma. The fear became permanent, recorded in the memory of all who lived there, even when no manifestation was present. 7 years later, new reports surfaced confirming brief demonstrations. The promise had been fulfilled. Although less intense, the presence showed that it had never gone away completely. The earth seemed marked. The curse was not only in the house, but in the ground, as if it absorbed the pain accumulated over years of uninterrupted terror. Over time, the farm was abandoned. Still, visitors report strange experiences to this day. Whispers between the trees, feelings of suffocation and constant shivers. Electronic equipment fails and animals refuse to stay in place. For many, the witch never left. Just wait, quietly watching who dares to approach. Historians try to explain the case as collective hysteria or family conflicts. However, the number of witnesses and written records challenges this theory. It was not just one person reporting, but dozens. The repetition of the same phenomena makes the case unique. Even centuries later, no definitive explanation was able to close the mystery of Bell's witch. The most frightening are not the physical attacks, but the psychological impact. The feeling of impotence, of having nowhere to hide. Constant fear slowly corrodes the mind. The Bell family experienced this daily. The terror did not come from visible monsters, but from something that no one could face directly, making everything even more hopeless. History has crossed generations, being told as a legend, but studied as a real case. Movies and books helped popularize the story, but none can fully convey the dread lived there. It is not just a ghost story. It is a reminder that the unknown can be more cruel than any known physical threat. Some believe that the witch was a demon, using a human name to deceive. Others argue that it was an ancient entity linked to Earth. Regardless of origin, intelligent and cruel behavior points to something beyond the imaginable, something that understood human emotions and knew exactly how to exploit them. The Witch of Bell stands out for not seeking rest. Unlike other spirits, she did not want peace, she wanted control. His presence seemed to be strengthened by the fear of others. The more attention he received, the more active he became. This detail raises a disturbing question. Do some entities exist only to consume human terror? Modern visitors claim to feel a pressure on their chest as they approach the site. Others report sudden mood changes, extreme anxiety and sudden headaches. Even skeptics admit that something is not normal. The atmosphere is heavy, as if the air carries memories of suffering that were never released. The story also raises reflections on guilt and consequences. If revenge was the motive, how far can human actions generate something so destructive? The curse would have been avoided, or was it just the trigger for something that already existed? These questions keep the case alive, fueling debates and theories to the present day. For many paranormal researchers, the Bell Witch represents one of the most documented cases in history. There are not only oral accounts, but detailed written records. This distinguishes the case from simple folklore. Even so, the truth remains shrouded in shadows, as if something prevents any definitive conclusion. The fear lived by the Bell family did not end with the end of the phenomena. It turned into trauma, transmitted for generations. History has shaped identities and driven people away from the place. Terror does not need to be physically present to continue existing. Sometimes he remains alive only in memory and in expectation of return. Bell's Witch reminds us that not all evil can be fought. Some forces simply observe, waiting for the right moment. The absence of answers is what makes the case so disturbing. When we don't know what we're facing, we also don't know how to protect ourselves. And that's the real terror. Even after 2 centuries, the name Bell still causes chills. The story resists time because it touches on universal fears: home invasion, loss of control, and invisible presence. No matter the time, these fears remain current, making the legend never forgotten. Many visitors claim to hear low laughter at night. Others say they feel invisible hands touching their shoulders. There is no hard evidence, only consistent reports. For some, that's enough. For others, it is another sign that certain stories do not just belong to the past, but are still alive, waiting for new witnesses. The Witch of Bell does not need to appear to cause fear. Its fame does the work. The simple knowledge of history already causes unrest. It is the kind of account that remains in mind, especially at night. A reminder that not every evil needs to be seen to exist. Sometimes he just watches in silence. The case remains as one of the greatest paranormal riddles in the United States. No solution, no closure, and no final answers. Perhaps this is what the entity wanted, not to be forgotten. As long as there is someone telling this story, the witch remains alive, feeding on curiosity, fear, and human attention. The real question is not whether the Witch of Bell existed, but what really was present in that farm. Something that spoke, attacked, and killed. Something that has left deep marks. Perhaps some doors, when opened, can never be closed. And perhaps certain terrors do not need proof, only silence to continue existing.